Hello everyone, welcome back to Vinayak IAS Academy, Bengaluru. This is the daily news analysis. Today, on the date 14th August of 2025, we will discuss some 6 articles which are going to be important from UPSC prelims, mains as well as interview. Today, we are going to bring certain changes. We will see each article from mains perspective, and we'll also discuss the UPSC relevance, and then instead of discussing the prelims pointer separately, we'll discuss each article from the prelims pointer as well. Okay, each article will be discussed from the prelims points. So without any delay, we'll start the first article. The first article is an editorial from the Hindu newspaper. The editorial reads, Seeding of Academic Freedom in Universities, written by Deepak Nair. The relevance to UPSC is mainly with respect to GS paper 2, governance and constitution polity. And the article talks mainly about Article 19, Clause 1, Clause A, which talks about freedom of speech and expression in academic spaces. And autonomy of institutions talks about the relation between state powers and academic independence. Okay, we will start the article now. So the other talks about importance of academic freedom in the universities. The author says, academic freedom is the cornerstone of higher education. It enables raising doubts, asking questions, debating, independent thinking, and questioning received wisdom. Both students and faculty must be free to explore new ideas and critique conventional knowledge. He says that universities must independently decide curricula, invited speakers, and research agendas without any external interference, such as politics. Fundamental research requires not just freedom but also adequate resource as well as time. So, this is the importance of academic freedom according to the author. And he also talks about current challenges in India to this academic freedom. He says that the excessive curricular regulation and prescribed readings often decided externally with certain books or topics explicitly excluded. Recently, exclusion of certain chapters related to Mughals from the NCRT is a case in point. Okay. Next, research priorities are influenced by government controlled funding. Non-mainstream research is stifled. Next, campus discussions critical of the ruling party are restricted, sometimes leading to penalty or disciplinary action as well. Next is faculty seeking duty leave for foreign conferences must sign undertakings not to engage in anti-government activities. All these things are stifling the academic freedom. Next is similar control now extends to private universities with the risk averse promoters aligning with the government preferences. So, what was once a norm with respect to public universities is now being expanded to private institutions as well. Okay, so this or the excessive regulation by the government or the ruling party is stifling this academic freedom. Academic freedom. Next, the author talks about accountability and autonomy of universities. Universities are crucial not only for education but also as a source of innovation and policy ideas, which is an economic role, and also conscience keeper through public intellectual engagement, which is the social role of the universities, and then evaluators of the government performance, which is a political role of universities. So, universities are not only for education but also for economic, social, and political role. So they must be protected from political interference. Government funding does not equate to control. The accountability should be to students and the society but not to political authority. But it is reverse in case of India, that there is more accountability to the political authority rather than the students or the outcomes of the university. Autonomy should be administrative, financial, and academic. Regulatory reforms are needed to reduce UGC shackles. Next is diversity over uniformity is essential for creativity and excellence. Okay, there should be more diversity over the uniformity in universities. There should be more opinions. As Socrates said, when opinions clash, truth comes out. When opinions clash, truth comes out. So Socrates often demanded debate among his peers or his students. So that is what should be followed in the universities rather than uniformity. Okay. Next, the author talks about global perspective. Restrictions also does exist in certain democracies such as Argentina, Hungary, and Turkey, and in dictatorships such as Africa and Asia, and in one party states like China, Russia, and Vietnam. So it is not only with respect to India. The same thing happens in most of the countries around the world. China provides limited freedom in social sciences but merit based appointments in top research. And in USA under the President Trump, cuts have been seen in research funding, curbs on public universities, and risking erosion academic leadership. Okay, so even in the USA, which is considered as a beacon of freedom and democracy, now there are centralizing or stifling instances under the President Trump. Okay, then the government control universities to avoid criticism, ensure ideological conformity with the ruling party, and maintain political comfort. So, what will be the consequences of curtailing academic freedom? It will lead to loss of creativity, independent thought, and then the quality research. All these things will be stifled when there is excessive government control over the universities or over the academic freedom. Weakening of teaching learning process, and finally long term harm on economy, society, and polity, because as we said, universities role is not with respect to only education but also expands to polity, society, and economy. Okay, next, previous pointers of this particular article. The previous pointers that talks about UGC, that is Universities Grants Commission. It is a statutory body under UGC Act of 1956. It regulates standards of higher education. Next is academic freedom. It is not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution but can be linked to Article 19 on Clause A, which talks about freedom of speech and expression, and can be linked to Article 21, which talks about right to education and dignified life. Next, the governance structures of universities. Universities are established via parliamentary or state legislation, whereas private universities are established via state acts. Next, the global examples which talks about restrictions in democracies are Argentina, Hungary, and Turkey, which we discussed in the discussion already, and China with respect to selective meritocracy in appointments. So, the author says that this restriction on the academic freedom has to be reduced. The restrictions has to be reduced, and academic freedom should be practiced not just in letter but in spirit. A very beautiful article. Some points which you can use in essays, which you can use in ethics as well. Okay. Second article is again an editorial from the Hindu. It talks about war game changer in Asia. A war game changer in Asia. It is important in UPSC from GS paper 2 for higher end security and GS paper 3 in defense and technology, especially indigenous defense manufacturing and role of unmanned aerial vehicles in the modern warfare. Okay, so what is the conflict here? What is the context here? Drone warfare shift. That is, author provides certain instances. That is, in 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh conflict showed drones transition from reconnaissance to precision strike roles. Where is this Nagorno-Karabakh? It is a region between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So recently, both countries went head to head against the control of this Nagorno-Karabakh region, where we for the first time saw drones being used not as a reconnaissance but as a precision strike roles. Next, in Operation Sindoor of May 2024, our very own India and Pakistan reinforced drone as a strategic importance. Okay, it showcased the significance and the importance of drones in strategic importance. Next, India's UAV and UCAV modernization. Purchase of 31 MQ-9B Reapers, Sky Guardian and Sea Guardian from the United States for maritime surveillance, which showcases the increasing significance of unmanned aerial vehicles. Then, need for high altitude, long range UAVs with heavy payloads. These are small, cost effective strike drones for border conflicts. Instead of engaging personnel, instead of engaging aircrafts, instead of engaging jets, now we can achieve the same outcome with the help of small, cost effective strike drones. Okay. Next, the current assets in India are Israeli Harop loitering munition and Heron UAVs useful but are very outdated. So there is a need for indigenization of the drone as well as updation of the drones in India. Next, global drone market dynamics. US is actually lagging behind China and Turkey in UAE exports. That is only 8% share in 2023 due to MTCR restrictions. Next, Turkey is significant because of high performance affordable drones, expanding influence via drone diplomacy. Very important. Then Israel was leading in drone diplomacy, but now is preoccupied with West Asia conflict, limiting the supply. Next, there is a strategic opportunity for India. This challenge that India is facing with respect to outdated drone can be converted into opportunities by India. So there is a strategic opportunity. That is, Indo-Pacific nations like Vietnam, Philippines, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea face China's gray zone maritime tactics. So the shared geography are leading to similar needs. That is, maritime domain awareness and high altitude surveillance are the requirement, are the need of all the Indo-Pacific nations, especially at the backdrop of Chinese aggression. Next, India can fill US-shaped vacuum in Indo-Pacific drone supply through domestic production and joint ventures, especially with leaders like Israel and Europe, and technology sharing regimes with like-minded countries like Israel. Okay, so India can fill the vacuum that is there in Indo-Pacific and can convert itself into Turkey of the South Indo-Pacific. Okay. Next, benefits of becoming drone supplier. Okay, one is economical. Obviously, apart from that, it will provide strategic influence in the Indo-Pacific region, and also economic gains via exports, counter Turkey's influence in the region, and meet own security needs against China and Pakistan. So India should move towards becoming a drone supplier. So the previous pointers from this article is about MTCR. We said that USA's drone share in the world is very less because of MTCR regime. What is MTCR? It is Missile Technology Control Regime. That is, it's a voluntary control export regime. India joined in 2016. However, USA has a voluntary control regime under this MTCR. As a result, USA is not exporting more drones. Next, MQ-29 Reaper is an USA made variant, USA made, and the variants are Sky Guardian for land and Sea Guardian for maritime. Next is Operation Sindoor was India-Pakistan UAE conflict episode. Next, Grey Zone Warfare is a tactics below the conventional warfare threshold, such as maritime militia. Okay, so now the third article is about aid and advice. We will see what is this aid and advice about and what are the significance and relevance of this article. It is relevance for GS paper 2 polity and governance, especially with respect to separation of federalism, separation of powers and federalism, and constitution's basic structure. The core issue in this article that is highlighted by the author is Union Ministry recently told the Jammu and Kashmir that Lieutenant Governor or the Lieutenant Governor can nominate 5 assembly members without the aid and advice of the elected government. Raises question, that is, Does this undermine democratic accountability? Okay, we know that the abrogation of Article 370, Jammu and Kashmir has been converted into an union territory. An union territory with the legislature headed by a lieutenant governor, similarly to Delhi and Puducherry. Okay, so lieutenant governor is supposed to act as a nominal head similar to the governor in states. Okay, however, with respect to union territories, he has certain extra powers. And this particular case, recently Indian Home Minister said that Lieutenant Governor has the power to nominate 5 assembly members without the advice of Legislative Assembly or the elected government. So this raises questions whether it is eroding the democratic principles. So we'll discuss what are the constitutional concerns and the government's argument here. The constitutional concern is the 2023 amendments to Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act gives LG power to nominate 2 Kashmiri migrants, including 1 woman, 1 Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir community, and 2 women if underrepresented. The nominated members can vote could change government majority in 119 member assembly. Sorry, 119 member assembly. High Court asks that does this violate the constitution's basic structure by eroding the appointed officials to altered electoral verdicts? Okay, so if we're going to appoint 5 members to the assembly, doesn't it change the electoral outcomes when the electoral majority is neck and neck? Okay, so that is the question raised by High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. The government's argument here is it claims that the nominations are outside the elected government's remit. Cites K. Lakshmi Narayanan versus Union of India, the Puducherry president. Next, refers Union Territories Act of 1963, Section 2 on voting procedures. So these are the arguments put forward by the government. They say that the Lieutenant Governor is within his rights to appoint 5 elected members based on this outside elected government permit and the Lakshmi Narayanan versus Union of India case and Union Territories Act of 1963. Next, the risks to democracy. Puducherry example in 2021. Nominated for members for the defective MLAs helped to topple an elected government. And Jammu and Kashmir became union territory without the consulting elected representatives, making accountability more important. Next is statehood restoration is still pending despite the Supreme Court acknowledgement and the public support. Okay, so the Supreme Court position here is in Delhi service cases of 2018 and 2023, LG should act on aid and advice of the elected government, and the discretionary powers are only used in exceptional cases. Okay, so ministry stance contradicts this evolving jurisprudence. Okay, the Supreme Court held that lieutenant governor should act on the aid and advice of elected members. However, in this particular case, respect to Jammu and Kashmir, the lieutenant governor is not acting according to the aid and advice, which undermines the Supreme Court ruling of 2018 and 2023. Next, so the core takeaway from this article is allowing lieutenant governor unilateral nominations risk subverting electoral mandate. The democratic essence requires that consequential assembly decisions flow from people's representatives and not from appointed officials. Okay, a very important articles. The same points can be used with respect to governor in other states as well. Okay, however, the governor doesn't have the right with respect to appointment of new 5 assembly members. However, he does have the right to appoint 6 members to legislative council. Okay, however, that is a different thing, but this is a different thing. Okay, next the prelims pointers here is about according to some important points are as Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act of 2019, which was amended in 2023. It added section 15A and 15B. According to this, Lieutenant Governor can nominate 2 Kashmiri migrants, 1 person from Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir community, and 2 women. And Lieutenant Governor's powers under Article 239 and 239A of the Constitution is administration of union territories. Lieutenant Governor acts with aid and advice of the elected government except in matters where discretion is explicitly given. Same thing is there for governor in India as well. Next, key court cases are N. Lakshmi Narayanan versus Union of India, where Puducherry LG's nomination power were upheld. Next, NCT Delhi versus Union of India 2018-23 case. Lieutenant Governor is bound by the aid and advice except in certain exceptional cases. These are some of the cases which were taken up by Supreme Court. Very important cases which you can use in your answers. Next, basic structure doctrine. It is derived from Keshavananda Bharati case of 1973. That is, democracy and representative government are part of basic structure doctrine. So this appointment by Lieutenant Governor, according to the author, is undermining this basic structure doctrine. Next, Union Territory Act of 1963 under Section 12 that voting rights and the procedures in Union Territory assemblies are at the discretion of the central government. Okay, discretion of central government. So this is the third article. Next is the fourth article. It talks about Africa challenging China's mining dominance, relevance in UPSC GS2, especially the international relations and governance. So the context is, over 2 decades, China became the dominant player in Africa's mining sector through resource for infrastructure deals. The example here is Sycomine's deal in DRC, that is Democratic Republic Congo, mining rates in exchange for infrastructure projects. How the debt trap or checkbook policy is being used here. Okay, checkbook policy of the China's economic might. Okay, next, the criticism here is limited skills transfer, disproportionate benefit to locals, environmental damage, and opaque contracts. So these mining contracts are helping the Chinese economy but not the African economy. So these are certain criticisms. So as a result, now Africa is taking up the mining by themselves, and it is now challenging the Chinese mining dominance. Few examples are Democratic Republic of Congo. Here says that Democratic Republic of Congo produces 80% of world's cobalt, and China controls 80% of that through deals. In 2024, tax exemptions to Chinese firms cost DRC around $130 million. The government negotiated deals plans to increase stake in the joint venture from 32% to 70%. So Chemaf Resources sale to Chinese Northern Mining cancelled after state-owned Geka Mines opposed. Okay, so now Democratic Republic of Congo is moving away from Chinese dominance. Same thing is happening with Namibia. That is, Xinfeng Investments was accused of bribery up to $50 million to acquire lithium mine. Exported raw ore without building promised processing plants, poor labor conditions. So this is another example. Next is Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, Zhejiang Huawu Cobalt was investing $300 million in the lithium plant. Benefits may still flow to China unless stronger local policies are in place. In 2022, there was a ban on unprocessed lithium exports. So even Zimbabwe is taking care of mining. Then with respect to Zambia, acid spill from the Chinese-owned copper mine polluted Kafue River. And with respect to Cameroon, opposition to Lobe Kribi iron ore project led by Sino Steel, concerns over environment, health and heritage. So now Africa is waking up. Okay, Africa is waking up and challenging Chinese dominance. Okay, next, environmental and societal pushback. Mining permits have been blocked, such as in coal mining in Zimbabwe's Hwangwe National Park, and civil society groups are demanding environmental safeguards and community benefits. Next, the policy shift is also happening in Africa. That is, export bans on unprocessed minerals in Zimbabwe and Namibia in 23. Objective is to force local beneficiation and processing, retain more value domestically. Next, challenge is policies must align with broader economic strategies to avoid elite capture. So the emerging trend is African countries are moving from passive to assertive partners. They are renegotiating unfair contracts, demanding value addition and technology transfer, and enforcing environmental standards. Okay, a very important movement in Africa. potential to reshape global supply chains in critical minerals, reducing China's dominance. So, prelims points here is Psychomines deal between DRC and China mining for infrastructure agreement. Critical minerals in Africa, for example, in DRC, cobalt in Zambia and Zimbabwe, it is the lithium. And export ban countries, Zimbabwe and Namibia 23. CNPAV, that is the Civil Society Coalition in DRC monitoring the mining deals. Next is China's share in DRC cobalt production is around 80%. And environmental incident, there was an acid spill in Zimbabwe's Kafue River by Chinese mine. So these are some of the prelims pointers. Very important articles and very important points are there. Next is India's semiconductor mission and overview. Obviously, in UPSC relevance, it is comes under prelims, schemes, components of ISM outlay, and also in GS3, science and technology, and also in GS2, in schemes and components. Okay. Next, so the mission was launched in 2021 under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Nature, it is an independent business division within Digital India Corporation. Objective is to build vibrant semiconductor and display ecosystem to make India a global hub for electronic manufacturing design. Powers, full administrative and financial autonomy. The role is it acts as a nodal agency for implementing Semicon India program schemes. Advisory board, that leading global semiconductor exports. So this India semiconductor mission is a very significant move or step in for with regard to improving India as a global hub for semiconductors. The functions are catalyzing semiconductor ecosystem in manufacturing, packaging, and design, promoting indigenous IP generation and technology transfer, facilitating investments in semiconductor fabs, display fabs, compound semiconductor units, ATMPs, and OSAT facilities. Next, semiconductor or Semicon India program. Outlay is of around 76,000 crore rupees. Scope is support semiconductors, display manufacturing, and design. Aim is sustainable semiconductor and display ecosystem, reduce import dependence, and ensure tech sovereignty. So these are some of the key points of this particular article. And also there are 4 schemes under the program. What are the 4 schemes? One is semiconductor fab scheme, where financial support for setting up advanced warfare fabrication units. Next, display fab schemes, incentivize for large scale display manufacturing units, and compound semiconductors or silicon photonics, sensor fabs, and APMP and OSAT scheme for chip packaging, testing, and emerging semiconductor materials. Then design linked incentive scheme for semiconductor design startups and companies. Okay. Next, the recent current affairs was that 4 additional semiconductor manufacturing projects in Odisha, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh are being to be set up. Part of India's semiconductor mission's push to decentralize manufacturing hubs beyond the traditional tech states like Karnataka and Gujarat. Okay, so very important articles. Next is about Tato 2 hydroelectric project. So in GS paper 3, it is the main point, like it comes under GS paper 3, which talks about infrastructure development in border states. Next, the facts about this Tato 2 hydroelectric project is that it is located in Shiyomi district of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, very important. The river basin is Siom River, which is a tributary of Brahmaputra. Type, it is a run of the river hydroelectric project. Capacity is around 700 megawatt. Reservoir capacity is around 56 million cubic meters. Annual energy generation is around 2,738.06 million units. And the implementing agency is JV between NEEPCO, that is Northeast Electric Power Corporation Limited, and Government of Arunachal Pradesh. The cost of building this was around 8,146 crore. Okay, so very important hydraulic project. Benefits, obviously power supply improves electric availability in the Arunachal Pradesh. National grid support helps balance grid fluctuations with renewable energy integration, and revenue to the states, that is 12% free power to Arunachal Pradesh, additional 1% free power to local area development fund. Okay. Next, strategic value, strengthens India's hydropower capacity in the northeast near Indo-China, important for energy security and regional integration. Okay, so a very important hydraulic project. In prelims pointer, the Siam River is a tributary of Brahmaputra, originates in Arunachal Pradesh, and run of the river dams are minimal storage, relays in natural flow, and lower stubbornness compared to the larger dams. Next is NIPCO, under the Ministry of Power, major hydropower developer in Northeast India. Next is location of Siam district. It was formed in 2018 from the West Siang district. Okay, so this ends the discussion for the day. Okay, so if you have any important doubts or if you have any suggestions for me, you can write in the comment box. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and also click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. And if you like the effort that we are putting down, then please hit the like button, comment on it, share your thoughts, and also share with the friends. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.